Greetings, demons, and welcome to Warhammer Weekly, episode 82. And this time around, we have less than we've had the last few weeks in terms of topics to talk about, but still plenty. And I do have some pickups to go over this time, so we'll jump into those and then into the topics.
Not the leader of a cult, RabbitWithAxe.
Okay, so for pickups, I haven't actually looked at them yet. I usually look at them before the video, but obviously we have the new Stormbringer issues. And, yeah, I don't know what to actually expect, so I'm literally going to see them as I grab them. Okay, so starting with issue 78, apparently, we have, I guess, the flight stands for the Stormdrake Guard. Well, that's a bit boring. But yeah, I assume we're going to be getting Stormdrake Guard throughout these issues. Okay, so that is 78. We also have 77, so this is part 2 of the Stormdrakes, and we can see on the back, this is like the wings and stuff, which is a little bit more interesting. Still not that much of what I care about, but as I always say, Stormcast stuff is all for my partner, and then all the destruction stuff, or the, orc stuff is for me. So, yeah, pretty cool still. We also have issue 76, and this has the Stormdrake Guard Part 1. Which looks very similar to Part 2. In fact, it looks almost identical. Are these the same? I'm going to assume that it's just a case of, like, you get the parts for one in one and one in the other, because there's two of them. But I'm not completely sure of that, but, yeah, still, okay. And then, hopefully this is something for me. Issue 75. Oh! Okay. We've got a War Chanter. Interesting. I quite like this guy. Yeah. Pretty neat. Pretty cool. I like the sprue there. Pretty simple guy. I might actually make this guy later today. Yeah. Okay. There we go. So that is my pickups for this week. Nothing too special. As per usual, it's just the newest issues of Stormbringer. But, yeah. There we go. Let's get into the topics. And so, into the topic, starting with some new JOYTOY news. We are getting a new JOYTOY action figure of Sanguinius, and honestly, I think this is excellent. Even as someone who, isn't a Blood Angels fan in the grand scheme of things, this is an excellent model. He looks great. They've really captured that, beauty that Sanguinius is supposed to have, which I think is, pretty interesting enough itself. It's weird to say, that an action figure of this, of a god, essentially, is, pretty. But, legitimately, he is. I don't know how they've managed to capture that so well. But, yeah, in any case, he obviously has the wings. He has some various weapons, including spears and swords, set of hands. Just the usual kind of thing that you expect from these JOYTOY figures. And, yeah, genuinely, just excellent. He has a flight stand as well, if you want him in more of a flying pose. Just a lot of great stuff. And along with that, we are also getting a Blood Angels Artificer, which, yeah, it's fine to me. It's a Blood Angels Space Marine. It looks fine. He has an energy sword, not an energy sword, sorry. He has a power sword and a bolter pistol, and, yeah, in general, not too bad. He does have an unhelmeted head if you prefer that. I certainly don't, but, to each their own. In general, he looks pretty good. I think he's, of the generic Space Marines we've had so far, it's definitely not the best one, but it's definitely not the worst. It's definitely very nice, and if you are a Blood Angels fan, obviously this is a pretty good figure to be getting, especially if you are going to be getting Sanguinius, which I think a lot of people will be getting Sanguinius regardless of their, like or dislike of the Blood Angels as, a faction, as a legion, or whatever. Just on the basis of he looks really good, and it's so iconic to the overall look of Warhammer and everything. Just, there's so many things about this character design. But yeah, in any case, that is the JOYTOY releases, or announcements, I suppose, for this week, and they both look great. I'm really, really liking JOYTOY's work so far, and yeah, of course, there's plenty more to come out in the future, but yeah, there we go. That is Sanguinius and the Blood Angel Space Marine. Moving over to Kill Team, we do have the announcement of a new starter set. So this is Space Marines versus Plague Marines, and it's pretty much what it says on the tin. You get a few intercessors, or not intercessors, you get the kill team intercessors, which are slightly different, as well as the kill team of Plague Marines. These are both, as far as I'm aware, the standard boxes that you can just buy off the shelf, as well as a little bit of terrain, which is that generic Imperium style. And honestly, this looks like a pretty good box for if you're wanting to get into kill team. These boxes usually are a little expensive. This one seems a little light on content, so I'd assume it's still, perfectly playable, but I'd think it's probably on the cheaper side when it comes to these starter sets. But yeah, in any case, some good models. If you're someone who wants to play Space Marines and you have a friend or whoever who wants to play Plague Marines, who wants to play a bit of Nurgle, then honestly, this is a good selection. Like, I definitely I'm not going to be picking this up purely on the basis if I don't care about any of the models included, but yeah, it is definitely a good starter set and definitely worthwhile if you're wanting to get into Kill Team. But that is unfortunately all there is to say about it. Not the most interesting set in the world, but yeah, it is available, so if you're interested, check it out. And that brings us into Necromunda, where we have yet more squat news. So we have the brand new squat Scout Trike, and yeah, this thing looks so weird. I don't know what it is. Like, this looks better to me than the trikes for the Votann, personally. I know they're supposed to be hover trikes, whereas this is more of a traditional, wheeled trike. I prefer this look. I prefer how the driver is laid back in it. I think that's pretty interesting. The gun placements are pretty interesting as well. Overall, this is a cool and interesting take on, space trikes, essentially. But yeah, there's something about these that I'm not as big a fan of as I usually am when it comes to Prospectors. There's a lot of good stuff in Ironhead, and I just don't think this is something... This is definitely nice, especially if you are someone like me that uses a lot of the Ironhead stuff for their Votann. This is a nice alternative to using the Votann trike. Obviously not very illegal because it is pretty small by comparison, but yeah, if that's what you're looking for, if you're looking for a, non-Votann version of that same unit, this is kind of it. It's kind of cool, and yeah, overall, it looks good. We also get a few more shots of the scout drone, which I assume are going to be included with the trikes. We've seen the drones a few times now, and yeah, they look interesting enough. But yeah, it's new trikes for the dwarves. Dwarves trikes. It's something that Warhammer does a lot. And yeah, this is another decent shot at it, even if it's not quite to my personal taste. It still looks good, still works in the overall Ironhead aesthetic. And yeah, there we go. New Ironhead Squat Prospector trikes. Scout trikes. So that brings us over to Blood Bowl for our fantasy picks this week. And this time around, we have yet another star player. Or, well, I'm not sure if it's a star player necessarily, but definitely a named character. We've got Rowana Forestfoot. And, yeah, she's pretty cute. She has, a deer that she's riding on. She has a bunch of birds, well, a bunch of pigeons, more than anything. Overall, just a nice model. Honestly, this is one of the least Blood Bowl models I've seen from Blood Bowl in a good while. There is really, as far as I can tell, nothing that, makes this specifically Blood Bowl. And honestly, this is the kind of model that I would happily pick up just as a painting project, just as something... that's a little bit different, a little bit unique. Just something that, isn't another Space Marine to kind of put on the shelf. But, yeah, overall, it looks pretty good. I like the details on it, the fur and everything, the feathers on the birds and stuff. A lot of good attention to detail there. But yeah, overall, not really much to say about it. Still looks pretty cool, but, yeah, that's all that can be said. And moving on, we have a little bit of Middle-earth strategy battle game, not strategy game battle, news with a new model, Frec You, Lord of the West March, and yeah, this guy looks interesting. He's very generic, in my opinion. He doesn't look that interesting in the grand scheme of things, but yeah, this is the rival of Helm Hammerhand, who we got the reveal of a few weeks ago, a month ago or so. And yeah, he looks like a warrior, that's for sure, in the Lord of the Rings universe. I don't really know what there is to know about this guy, so he looks interesting. He's got a decent little cloak on. He's holding some sort of thing in his hand. He has a sword. Like, he's not in a very action-orientated pose. He's a bit boring to look at, in my opinion. I'm sure for people that know this character, this is going to be a great addition to, their collection, for Lord of the Rings fans in general, or for Middle-earth fans in general. Like, all these characters are great to be getting. I just unfortunately don't have much to say about a guy stood holding a thing in his hand. It's just, unfortunately, something I can't say much about, but, still a pretty cool-looking model. Well detailed and everything. I'm sure he's going to be fun to paint. But that's all I can really say about him. So on that note, that brings us to the Rumour Engine for the 15th of October 2024. And this is some sort of like Tesla cannon or something like that. Maybe like it's definitely like a barrel, but it's like not a conventional barrel. It's interesting. It reminds me very AdMech-y. It's very AdMech or very, if we're going for AOS, it's very rat. It's very Skaven coded to me. I don't know. There's a lot of things like this with this sort of aesthetic that I'm just like, I don't really know what to make of it. There's not really anything specifically that I can make out from it. Let's say there's the energy on the inside. There's the, sharp edges of everything, which makes me think more Mechanicum. If it is 40k, I'd definitely lean on it being Imperium, which I know I say that a lot for a lot of these Rumour Engines, but it just kind of ends up being the case a lot of the time. It's maybe not, old-fashioned enough to be Skaven, but I could see it being a Skaven thing. They have the weird futuristic tech sometimes, so it is possible. But I'm not too sure. It looks interesting. In the actual article, they do say that it could be a gun which shoots lightning, and it kind of does look like that. It has like an energy pulse coming out of it. It's interesting, but not really much else to say about it. So on that note, that's going to be it for this episode of Warhammer Weekly. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like it, subscribe to the internet, and ring the bell so you never miss an upload. Otherwise, comment below thoughts and feelings about any of the topics we have discussed today. Are you going to be picking up that Kill Team starter pack? Actually, in fact, better question. Are you going to be picking up the JOYTOYs? Are you someone who already collects them? There's a Sanguinius one or the Blood Angel one actually tempted you at all? I think they're really cool. They're a little expensive for my taste, but honestly, they are really, really cool. But as always, link in the description below to every article we've discussed, and otherwise, it's going to be from me. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Look at the screen, you'll be fine. Culture's a disease, but worlds divine. I just wanna tell